No Child Left Behind was a federal education initiative under the Bush administration that aimed to eliminate the achievement gap among students of different backgrounds and to increase achievement altogether in U.S. public schools. Known mostly as an act that increased high-stake testing, other goals of this act were to mandate highly qualified teachers and to give families of students more discretion over their child's education.
I just can't handle it. I just can't. Oh my, I'm so embarrassed. I just am. I really hope I pass third grade. I have the whole world on my shoulders. This goes on my report card in my college education, and that gets me a good job. Somebody help!
I wonder what my score is going to be. Where's my paper? Where's my number 2 pencil?
I can't read that well, and I'm scared that I won't understand the answers.
My hands were sweaty, I almost started crying, and I had a funny feeling in my stomach. I hope I never feel that way again.
Some of the negative impacts include pushing minority and low-income students to drop out of school or increasing what is known as a school-to-prison pipeline, which is a phenomenon where students are pushed out of schools and into the criminal justice system as a result of educational policies.
Children that come from affluent areas travel, they have experiences, they have an environment that you're going to learn. You've got every opportunity to learn. Somehow we have to give that same opportunity to rural areas and inner city schools and places that don't have those opportunities and never will unless the government steps in.
The alarming impacts of No Child Left Behind on minority and low-income community calls for a policy change, which is where my policy, Together for a Future, can come into play. Together for a Future, or TFOF, is a policy that would provide after-school educational centers in low-income communities and provide resources to students, teachers, and parents. TFOF programs would be an effective policy initiative to fight against the adverse effects of No Child Left Behind faced by minority and low-income communities because students would receive free additional tutoring and homework help. Increased test scores would make their schools less likely to be labeled as failing and thus would attract quality teachers. With better academic achievement, students will have better self-concept and self-efficacy in school, which would mean that they would be less likely to drop out. TFOF programs would benefit teachers because it would provide continuing education courses, constant mentorship, and resources for them to gain cultural and situational competence so that they can be prepared in the classroom. Ultimately, this would help with teacher retention. TFOF would help parents because it would give them free workshops and parent-teacher events to learn about how to support their child in school. The Together for a Future program policies should be supported by California and Governor Brown because California has an opportunity to be one of the first states to make significant changes to solving inequalities in education. With TFOF, there is a direct benefit when funds are allocated to the schools that need them the most. With appropriate resources and funds, students will not have to transfer out of their school districts and face the racism and discrimination that occurs within the admission process to higher performing schools in more affluent neighborhoods. With schools in low-income communities given appropriate funding, this will decrease the educational gap between white and non-white students because once again, they will be able to stay in their school districts and will not be pushed out of the system when their school fails. This will also maintain integration in school districts and will erase the diversity penalty because schools would actually be encouraged to have diverse populations, unlike under No Child Left Behind. Lastly, my program proposal of creating after-school educational centers in low-income communities should be funded because it has immense benefits to macro-level societal issues. Implementing Together for a Future would create jobs in low-income communities, which is known to be a form of resistance to issues such as poverty, teen pregnancy, single parenthood, amongst many more. Unlike No Child Left Behind, TFOF would take into account important sociological perspectives such as native language, income level, and family composition, and consider how these factors impact a child's ability to be successful in school. Together for a Future would also be a form of free childcare, which would be helpful for parents as they go to school or work and could decrease the parental happiness gap. Ultimately, an investment in Together for a Future would promote healthy families and would help minority and low-income students against the adverse effects they face from No Child Left Behind.